Well, it's one of the most famous stories in the Bible. A mere boy steps into a battle and takes out the mighty giant Goliath. Thousands of years later, people still describe themselves as Davids when facing a great challenge. But as Pastor Louis Giglio explains, there's a twist to this classic story.
Louis Giglio is the pastor of Passion City Church in Atlanta, Georgia. He's also the founder of Passion Conferences, where college kids from around the world meet for more than just music. This year, 50,000 young people from 90 countries and all 50 states packed the Georgia Dome for Passion 2017 to pray for a spiritual awakening for this generation. Louis uses his gift to connect people with the message of the gospel. In his book, Goliath Must Fall, Louis uncovers a new twist on the timeless story of David and Goliath and reveals a plan that will silence our personal giants once and for all.
Louis Giglio is here with us now, and we welcome you back to the 700 Club.
So good to be back. It's been a while.
My first time meeting you, so it feels like the first time. All right, well, you stayed up. Let's talk about, you say that we're not David in this story, that this is the twist that you put on it. Who are we if we're not David?
Yeah, well, you know, the interesting part of this story is most of us who grew up in church, I'm a church kid, so Vacation Bible Club, Backyard Bible Club, summer camp, it was always little shepherd boy takes down Goliath, then you can take down all the giants in your life. And so the projection was, I'm David. Some of the camps would even go grab the 5 smooth stones. We'd come back the next night at the service. We'd consecrate them at the altar. We'd be on fire. I can take down all the giants in my life. But the story of the gospel is that it's not us, but it's Christ in us. Yeah. That's where the power is. And so in the story of David and Goliath, you have to ask, where's Jesus in this story? Where's salvation in this story? Right. And the salvation isn't, oh, if I just bulk up, hulk up, if I just armor up, I can take down all these giants in my life. No, the hope of the gospel in the story of David and Goliath is that Jesus is David in the story of David and Goliath. Jesus is the giant slayer in our lives, and he has taken down every giant we're going to face at any point in our life.
I got to tell you, it really takes a lot of pressure off when you read it like that, when you see it so differently, you know. There's a second twist about the giant. What is that?
Well, the thing is that the giant's already dead. You know, Jesus has taken the sting of sin away. Right. And he's taken the power, the deceiving power of the darkness. He's destroyed that, exposed it, brought truth and victory to our lives. So we talk about in this book that our giants are dead, but yet they're still deadly. That sounds a little bit like an oxymoron of thought, but it's true. The enemy's been defeated. Jesus isn't going back to the cross, the empty grave. The enemy has been defeated, but yet he's still prowling around like a lion looking for people to devour. So we've got to wake up to the reality that he's already been defeated. He's already dead in our lives, but he's still talking. So if we listen to him and follow him, he still can bring damage to our lives.
And believe it or not, there's a third twist to
well, you know, the third twist of this story, which I think is amazing, is that our freedom and God's glory are woven together in our life story. And we want to make everything about us. I need to be free. God, please help me, bless me, change me. But it's God's glory that's at stake. When that shepherd boy David stepped into that valley to fight Goliath, it wasn't because he was afraid. It was because that giant was defaming the name of the God that he loved and worshiped. And he said, you come at me with a javelin and a spear. I'm coming at you in the name of the Lord of the armies of Israel that you have defied. And so we have to have both a desire to be free, and that's what God wants for us, but also a desire for God to get glory. And when we get free, God gets glory, and that's the purpose of our life, is to bring glory to God.
You know, and it wasn't a death wish, was it, when he went into battle? He thought he was going to win. It wasn't like he was on a suicide mission.
No, David, but you know, he didn't care. He was just like, God is with me, and God is going to stop you. And he was confident. He said, this very day, God's going to deliver you into my hands. And the whole world, this was the end of the story, the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. So if someone's battling addiction, rejection, anger, fear, the giants we talk about in Goliath Must Fall, the end of the story isn't, oh, he got free from addiction. Oh, she got free from her bitterness. Oh, she got free from anxiety. The end of the story is, everyone knows there is a God who is alive and powerful to deliver us from whatever we're facing in life.
That's good to look at the end game. Well, let's talk about some of the addictions that a lot of us face, like you mentioned, fear and anger. And let's talk about addiction. How do people overcome this huge giant?
Well, I think at the root of addiction, and it takes, you know, there isn't a one-size-fits-all. In fact, this book isn't a Band-Aid for people struggling with a little simple one-size-fits-all solution to the big problems we face. Addiction is a mighty problem, and it tears families apart every single day. But at the root of addiction, it's not the same for everybody, is a sense of vulnerability, a sense of a place where I'm exposed in life and I'm uncomfortable in that place, and so I need something to mask the sense that I feel pain or I feel loss or I feel something in my heart that I want to try to protect. And so in David's story, he went out to fight, remember? And Saul said, "You're too little, you got to put my armor on." Yeah. And he tried to mask what looked like a vulnerability. Right. But God wanted to use the vulnerability to show his power. And so I think the first step in addiction is admitting what it is that we feel, admitting what it is that we're struggling with, saying it out loud, naming it for what it is. And it's usually not a person or a problem. It's an inadequacy that I feel inside my own heart, a need for approval in my own life.
Well, Louis, at one point you had to conquer your own giant. You had a breakdown. What happened? Yeah,
about 2008, I fell into a hole, and I didn't know really where it came from, but for 4 months I was out of commission. I didn't leave the house most days.
Depression?
I had a nervous breakdown, I think, is what they called it in the old days. We don't use those terms anymore. We say people had a panic attack or an anxiety disorder. But I just had a breakdown. I think my whole nervous system, from a lot of pressure over time and years and a lot of events that happened in that year, something just snapped. And when it did, it took a lot of...
And you were able to pinpoint the cause. You said...
Later, you know, later I was able to discover that I think control and the need for approval were two of the big factors in that year. We planted a church that year in 2008. And I'm telling you, that's not an easy thing to do on a lot of different levels. But if you want to control the outcomes of every situation, even in a good way, you're going to break at some point. And if you want to be applauded for every decision that you make, you're going to break at some point.
Especially those of us who work on stage and in television and on, you know, at the pulpit. We try to control and make everything. We want perfection, and it can kill you.
The people who have breaks like I did are your A-types, your perfectionists, people who want every outcome to be exactly, precisely the way they see it in their mind. We're in control of very little on planet Earth. I'm in control of my attitude today, and that's about it. And so we've got to relinquish control to God. We've got to believe that simple saying, let go and let God.
Well, Louis, how did you overcome that season in your life?
Well, it's a combination of things, and it was help from doctors. And I want to say that very strongly to people, because a lot of people in our Christian community say, you know, you don't need doctors, you don't need that. I'm telling you, if you get where I got, you need doctors to help you. Wow. It was the help of doctors. It was an amazing wife who stayed beside me and didn't give up when I was in despair for month after month after month. And then there was a break point in the middle of the night, 2 a.m., when God gave me a little song in the night, and that little song of worship, actually at the lowest point in my life on earth, began to lead me out of the darkness and back into the light again.
That's right. In your book, right in the first couple of chapters, you talk about the importance of worship being that thing that can turn the tide.
Worship changes the narrative, and we settle for a terrible narrative so often in our lives. We let the enemy play the background music in our lives instead of changing the narrative by putting worship in our mouths. Worry and worship cannot be in our mouths at the same time. Wow. So either worship's going to be in our mouth or worry's going to be in our mouth. We have the choice to change the narrative by lifting a song of praise.
And I love that this is a command. Goliath must fall. He was going to fall. Well, if you want to win the battle against your giants, you need to get Louis' book. Again, it's called Goliath Must Fall. It's available in stores nationwide. Louis Giglio, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me, Wendy.
Great to meet you.
Pleasure.
God bless you.